Okay, y'all, I tried to do this as a live stream and I had too many people PMing me that it was glitchy. So you had to put up with me as an video upload. I'm on my brand new computer. I'm just loving it. I'm loving having a new computer. I got a real high-end one, so it's not my computer. I know that. It's stupid internet here in Costa Rica where I live. Sometimes I got it, sometimes I'm not. Saturday morning, everybody's apparently online. So here we go. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Sidcombe. I used to write a column called No Longer Quivering for Pathos for 10 years. It involves, let me get rid of this. It involved the quiverful evangelical movement and all phases of the crazy evangelical movement in the US that is just out there. So there you go. You know where I'm coming from. So I was quiverful for some time. And it didn't work out for me very well at all. I realized pretty quickly that not everything is as it was portrayed. I tried to be and it didn't work. These are my opinions. Don't believe me, I talk about. Don't even go be rude and nasty to Lori Alexander or Von Oldman on their websites. I would appreciate that. I'm not a big fan of ever going real life at all. So there you go. I've introduced myself. I'm trying to remember everything. I started my video talking about I had done a piece. I'd started writing a piece after reading a book that Nikki has been talking about Charles Manson. It was a book about Charles Manson possibly being a CIA plant. Interesting book. I read it like 3 or 4 years ago. I started to write about it and I came up with a list of things that Charlie and Lori Alexander have in common. Things like men are to be dominant at all times, women were to shut up, have babies, and cook. And only Charlie and his followers are going to go to heaven. Lori thinks only her and her followers are going to heaven. So it was some interesting overlap. And I just laugh every time I think about how much overlap the two of them actually have, because they do. Okay, so I was reading my notes and trying to go back over everything that was going on that Lori had written about in this book of hers, The Power of the Transformed Wife. That's what we're looking at. I wasn't going to look at it at all anymore. But when Lori herself started doing her YouTube videos promoting it, I figured, well, I better take a look and see what's going on with this because I don't want anybody just buying her book thinking that it is the last word in anything. It's a very short chapter we're going over today, and I've been able to find my notes on this. That's why I'm able to do this finally. The short chapter is pretty horrifying. It's filled with half truth and lots of really bad advice. The title of the chapter is Birth Control and Having Children. I think it should be called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire instead, sort of. And it's an interesting chapter because Lori really makes some big claims that she can't really back up here. We start with her claiming this that men are always ready for sex and women only want sex. They only crave it when they're ovulating. So that means God wants us to have sex as often as a man wants and have as many children as possible as quickly as possible. Then she moves on into the not so truth filled chapter, the side effects of any kind of birth control. Lori repeats the easily debunked lie that birth control pills cause teeny tiny little abortions. Never mind that there's plenty of scientifically based organizations and studies that show this claim to be a lie. Pills prevent the implantation of the egg, fertilized or not, into the lining of the uterus. If you pass a fertilized egg because it naturally fails to implant, and it does, science says it happens as much as a third of the time, it's not the same thing as an abortion. Definitely not the same thing as a DNC. Definitely not. She follows up her misinformation about that with some other really horrible stuff. She says that being on the pill can increase your risk of cancer. Actually, being on the pill has been shown to lower your risks of developing ovarian cancer, and that's according to the National Cancer Institute. Ovarian cancer is still one of the top killers of women to this day. She follows the birth control, misinformation, hormonal birth control pills. With moving on to the diaphragm and Lori speak, here's a quote. The diaphragm, which requires you to also use the spermicide, comes with a warning saying it can cause cancer. At least it did when I used it many years ago. Okay, I think this one's just an out and out lie if I remember right. Back in 1977, I discovered I could not use a pill or an IUD, and I ended up getting a diaphragm. That was my primary method of birth control from 1977 until the mid 90s when I became quiverful myself. And I don't remember any of my diaphragms or spermicidal jelly coming with a cancer warning. Okay, here's another Lori speak. The diaphragm is also uncomfortable, difficult to remove at times, and it can also cause toxic shock syndrome if left inside the vagina too long. Okay, advice coming from someone who's been a user of these things. If you could feel your diaphragm after it's been inserted, then you've put it in wrong. Should not be able to feel it in you. And the same goes with the difficulty of removal. If you're having that much difficulty with the removal and difficulty because you feel it, please consult your physician, please, because those are not normal things. And the chances of you contracting toxic shock syndrome if you leave it in more than 24 hours is about 2 in 100,000, according to the American Medical Association. It does offer some protection against some forms of sexually transmitted diseases compared to many methods, and it does not involve taking a synthetic hormone every day. It's also one of the most expensive forms of birth control that a person could have because you don't have to keep buying it over and over. Then Lori goes on in her book to list all the other types of common birth control: sterilization, vasectomies, IUDs, birth control pills, condoms, and natural family planning. Oddly enough, Lori skips the more modern ones like NuvaRing or the hormone implant into your forearm. I'm not going to debunk every lie and partial falsehood she lists for each of these methods, but she didn't list any of the benefits, only the possible risk of side effects in a very fear-mongery fashion. And there are big benefits to each method listed, such as the pill can help women who have endometriosis. That's why they were trying it on me those many years ago, is so that it could help with that. And she misses that vasectomies and hysterectomies are a sure method. The only side effect that she lists for natural family planning, which I know people use it effectively, is this. There are no side effects except for maybe having a precious baby. I will repeat my original statement. God wants us to have children. So, how does a couple decide they're going to issue all birth control and start popping out Duggar defying amounts of babies they're not able to take care of, they may not be able to take care of? Only the husband gets a vote in this, not the wife, according to Lori. Lori quote, each couple must decide for themselves what to do about birth control, with the husband having the final say since he is the head of the wife. If you want a lot of children but your husband does not, you must obey your husband. Well, As you will soon read, Lori herself didn't even do that. She justifies and simultaneously blames her husband for this decision in this way. But our husbands will be the ones standing before God to account for the decisions of our homes, not us. Sounds like she's saying, burn in hell, Ken, burn in hell. I'm channeling Lori Alexander's possible secret thoughts there. Another quote. When we were in our early 40s, Ken and I were convicted about having all the children God wanted us to have. But unbeknownst to them, I had a brain tumor which caused me not to be able to conceive. Well, that tumor must have been way more massive than anything she's related about it, either her blog or her book. It has to be pretty good size to press on your pituitary gland enough to stop hormone production, which you need in order to stay pregnant. It's unfortunate with rather bad timing for being quiverful. For me, I was in my mid 30s. I was still well within my fertile time, and it just didn't work for me. And I tried. I had so many miscarriages, a ridiculous number, until they had to give me a hysterectomy to stop the bleeding. The blog posting at the end of the chapter is the usual evangelical pious touting that um, being financially and emotionally ready for children is a foolish reason to delay babies, according to Lori. It sounds wise, not foolish, to wait until you're ready for most folks. Lori then leaves us with her own story of her family. This one blows my mind. Every time I read anything that Lori has written and she says this story, I'm just like jaw dropped. Lori quote, when Ken told me I could be a I could stay home full time after I had my second baby, I was a full-time school teacher. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom so badly. I put a hole in my diaphragm and conceived Ryan. Blink, blink. Don't do this. I cannot emphasize enough how bad of an idea this is. We're talking about bringing a living, breathing human soul into this world with needs, a soul and a massive commitment. They have massive needs into what sounds like a less than ideal or stable relationship. It's not a puppy or a houseplant. This is a decision that the two of you must make together. Lori says afterwards not to do this, but hey, just by mentioning her book, I'm sure she's given some quiverful wannabes with an uncooperative spouse a very bad idea right now. And this is the end of that short little chapter. The next chapter was dating and keeping your children sexually pure, but I can't find what I did with my notes on that one at all. I have no idea. I was going to go ahead and read and hit the Von Ullman thing too, but I think I won't because you can hear I'm kind of going. We went to a Christmas thing last night, and it was a dinner theater, and they served Costa Rican tamales, which are delicious. There's only one problem. I'm extremely allergic to palms, palm oil, palm seeds, palm leaves, hearts of palms. I can't have any of that. I just get really desperately ill. Last night they brought me my plate of tamales that were wrapped in palm leaves and they were steaming, and just smelling the palm leaves started the asthma up again. So I went to a dinner theater that I couldn't eat the main dish and I couldn't eat the dessert because of some of the things they were made with. And that was all we were given were two tamales and a thing of rice pudding. Now I love rice pudding, but I can't eat more than a spoonful because white rice is the devil if you're trying to control your blood sugar. And I've managed for 8 years of being a diabetic to control my blood sugar, which is a little bit of metformin and a whole lot of eating the right stuff. So that's where I am, and that's why I'm not going on the Von Ullman thing, but I'm gonna do that next week because it's not to be believed. I can't I wanna start I did a book. I read a book and took taken notes from it by Doug Wilson because I got such a honking huge laugh out of his 2 sillier books, The Man in the Dark and the, Ride, Sally, Ride, the Sex Robot book, which was unbelievable. But this book is called How to Declutter Your Marriage, and I hate to say it, Wilson is usually extremely toxic. This is not too toxic. It's not too bad. So I'm gonna go over and I'll give Doug a attaboy for not being so toxic that I can't stand it. It's pretty normal. So thank you for watching. Tune in tomorrow. I'm gonna upload my Righteous Gemstones uh, theology one because I back, baby. I got my HBO back on my computer finally and on my TV again. I got this new computer, so I am doing well in some things, even if the asthma's crazy. I gotta go use my nebulizer. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful day.